Hello everyone. Today I've got an updated version of what I was calling the electric eel wheel flat, and I still like that name, but I've been talking to my beta testers and we've decided to open it up for possible naming options. A couple of the other ones that they liked were the electric eel wheel fold or the electric eel wheel twist. So with this video, there's going to be a poll and it's going to cover naming and a bunch of other things. I'm really hoping that everyone who's watching this video can go out and fill that poll. The poll there should be a link to it in the description. So the real pillars of this e-spinner is that it's supposed to be sized to be in between the electric eel wheel nano and the electric eel wheel 6. So the bobbins will be about 4 ounce capacity, and a big reason I'm making it smaller bobbins is that allows me to make the flyer smaller, which allows me to make it faster. So this will be the fastest e-spinner that I've got, and I'll talk a little bit more about the speed later. For example, the electric eel wheel 6 is 1800 RPMs, and this will be around 3000 RPM, so much faster than any of the previous e-spinners I've made, and that's useful for really fine yarns. And you don't have to spin fast, it'll spin slow, but speed is there for those who want it. Another big thing that I'm working on is making sure that I keep really high build quality. So with the Nano, I had to do some things to hit a lower price point, but with this one I'm going to price it so that I can keep the quality at least as high as the electric eel wheel 6, hopefully a little bit better. And because it's smaller, it'll be a little cheaper than the electric eel wheel 6, but the quality, like the spindle here, it's still plastic, but that'll be metal on the final version. And you know, just having nice quality switches for switching direction and turning it on and off. Those are the kinds of things that I'm not going to try to price out of this. I'm going to keep the price high enough so I can keep all those nice features with this version. And as I mentioned in the previous version, sort of the thing I really wanted to try out with this format is the concept of folding flat. One of the big things that allows, though, that doesn't even have to do with folding flat, is you can change the bobbins much easier than you could on the electric eel wheel 6. Changing a bobbin is just as simple as that, and then you put that back on and the bobbin is swapped out. So with the back arm folding flat like that, it's pretty good. But I know that there's people who want it to fold completely flat. Let me move the camera a little bit for that. So for that, you just fold that back. You take off the drive belt, and then the whole flyer assembly comes off. And then you can just sort of fold this arm flat as well. And right now there's the bottom on. I forgot about that. So take off the bottom. Then you fold this piece under. You fold this piece under, and those are designed so that they'll fit in there flat, and then you put the bottom on, and you've got a nice little carrying package. And a lot of people mentioned that they wanted the flyer to be able to incorporate with that, and I don't really think I want to include an expensive molded piece that will hold the flyer, but I was looking into different options, and I think I can make a custom cut foam piece, a hard foam that will hold the flyer, and then we can use some rubber bands on the case to hold that piece. And then you'd have a package about this big. I don't have an example of it yet, but again, on the poll, I'll have a question about that. So if you think that would be a good way to hold the flyer, definitely let me know. Also related to that, I'm thinking of possibly adding, since it would be this nice little compact package that holds everything in place really firmly, and there's nothing much to get damaged if it gets bumped around a little bit. Probably a cloth bag would be just fine, and I'd make it big enough so you wouldn't have to fold it up like this if you didn't want to, but you could fold it up like this and then fit in some fiber, fit up some of the bobbins, so the bobbins will collapse just like they have on previous versions, like that. So I think you could fit everything into a pretty small bag, and I don't think it would take up much more space than the electric eel wheel nano, actually. And I'd like to see what people think about that kind of a option for storing it. Now, the downside is adding those sorts of things will add to the cost. So I can still keep it under the electric eel wheel 6 price, but if people want to see like those kinds of features, it will end up moving the cost a little bit closer to the electric eel wheel 6. So this prototype is not yet totally final. It is fully functional. All the different parts work, and I have spun yarn on it, but there's a few rough edges that are preventing me from sending it out to any of my beta testers, but I'm working on addressing those, and those should be fixed pretty soon. But I decided to put out this video right now so I could get your feedback with that poll that I mentioned. It should be in the description of this video. I'm really hoping everybody will fill that out. But it'll have a bunch of different questions, and I'm hoping people will submit their feedback, and that'll help me figure out if there are any other changes I should be making for that prototype that I send out to my selected beta testers. But yeah, it's getting really close. And one of the things that I did mention in the previous video is that I was thinking about adding this display like this. And I made a little mistake when I was laying it out. It's upside down, so I'm going to show you it from the back. But when I plug it in like this, see it has a little animation there to show that it's starting up. And then you can adjust the speed, and you can sort of see this actually works flawlessly right now. I was really impressed with both how accurate it is and how easy it is to use the display to see the speed. So we're at 315 RPMs right now, and that's the speed at the flyer. And we can crank up the speed quite a lot. So now we're at 1700 RPMs, and this drive belt actually sometimes pops off and has little issues. That'll definitely get addressed, but you can see it's at about 2900 RPMs, and that's about right. That's what I'm seeing here, and that's with a 12-volt power supply. All the electronics could handle a 15-volt power supply. So if you want to go over 3000 RPMs, I could ship it with a 15-volt power supply. I kind of think the 2900 RPMs is good enough. That's quite a lot faster. That's, I mean, for comparison, the electric eel wheel 6 is about 1800 RPM, so it's much faster than that. I don't think there's many spinners that will spin at that speed. I know that the people who want to spin that speed are spinning very fine yarn with a lot of twist, and I can see the desire. I can't spin that fast though, so let me know if you think I should include a 12-volt or 15-volt power supply. If I do the 15-volt power supply, you can still use 12-volt battery packs with it and stuff. So all of those will be usable for this version, just like the electric eel wheel 6. The display I'm pretty happy with. I'd like to hear if you think it's worth it. It adds a few dollars to the cost, but because I ended up doing a completely custom display, I was able to keep the cost of it pretty low, just a few bucks. And I think that, you know, in the real life, especially once I get the display flipped upside down to the right direction, very readable. It's kind of nice. It really helps you be consistent with your RPMs. I know the dial on these, you know, people will go like 3 or 4, but I think that if I display your RPMs, you'll just say, oh, I spin at, you know, 1000 RPMs or whatever speed you want to spin at, and be happy with that. And while the speed does go high, I will note that I don't expect most people to go full speed. It spins great at slower speeds as well. So something I got back, some feedback before was some people wanted to have a battery cover, this bottom piece, so it could hold a battery. And I have an option for that right over here. And it's very easy to install. I really love how I've done this magnetic system to hold the bottoms on. It's actually backwards, but here, there. That's all there is to attaching a new bottom now. I'll definitely be releasing 3D printable files, but I think I only want to release one bottom with it. It's just expensive to have multiple molded pieces and have people only use one of them. So I'm hoping the voting in the poll will be clear if you want to have this taller battery compartment that's a little bit more expensive, but not too much, won't add much to the total cost. Or if people want to go with this sleeker, lower profile bottom, but it doesn't hold a battery. So definitely let me know in the polls which of those you prefer. Another thing I've been working a lot on are the sliding hooks. So I've actually come up with a new version that we've got to test them more, but I really like them so far. So they've kind of got a slot in the bottom here, unlike the Electric Eel Wheel 6 hooks, and it just makes them really nice for sliding on this bar. It's very consistent, more consistent than the Electric Eel Wheel 6 hooks. I'm experimenting with some new plastic for these hooks. It'll be different than other plastics I've used for hooks, and I'm interested to know if you'd rather have metal hooks or plastic hooks. I mean, some of it will be what my beta testers think, but just the community as a whole, which of those kinds of hooks would you rather have? I think we might be leaning towards metal hooks, but I want to test out the new ones. Either way, I think they're going to slide better than any of the previous versions of my e-spinner, and we'll just go from there. I did look into ceramic hooks, but I can't really include those with this. The flyer spins just too fast for the extra weight of the ceramic hooks. It's just not feasible to include ceramic hooks on a flyer spinning this fast with the methods that I'm using for making the flyer. But I will say I'm really impressed with this flyer. I did a bunch of computer numerical analysis using some fancy software and stuff, and changed a bunch of things with the design of this flyer, and it is rigid. Like, this is just a 3D printed one, so the final one will be reinforced glass or nylon, which will be much stiffer than these, but even these 3D printed ones can handle 3,000 RPMs, which I've never had any kind of flyer arms nearly this stiff before. So I'm really excited about that. I think it'll help reduce vibrations a lot and just give the ability to go to higher speeds than was possible before. And that's, I mean, the smaller flyer helps with that, but I really think the new design, it's got a bunch of supporting mechanisms, and I've done some tricks with the thickness of plastics being tapered and stuff in certain areas to reduce the weight based on all of this computer simulation stuff. And then I 3D printed it, and it just worked so much better than previous flyers I've made. So I was really happy with how all that turned out. Another thing that I wanted to ask about were foot pedals. So this is the V2 foot pedal. It's a metal foot pedal. It's included with the Electric Eel Wheel 6 and the cone winder, and I'm pretty happy with that. One disadvantage of this system is that between these plates, sometimes fiber fluff gets in there and you have to clean it out with a cloth and stuff. So I was sort of looking at options for that. I also know that while some people love how easy it is to push this pedal, some people have said the tension's a little too easy. So I was looking for small plastic pedals with a metal mechanism inside that acts as a switch. And I found these, so I'm really liking these. I used some of these for my testing, but and I know you can't really see the difference, but basically this has got like some give to it to there, but then there's a click when the switch actually gets activated. And, you know, just from a visual standpoint and what you're thinking about it, I'm going to put a question in the poll whether you want this plastic V3 foot pedal or if I should keep going with something like this V2 foot pedal. So that's another question you'll be able to vote on in the poll. Another idea I had for this guy was vibrations are often a problem just because it's so light. My e-spinners are very light, and that's done to keep the cost down, but adding a bunch of weight is not something people want to do. They want to keep it really portable, but a lot of times you're spinning on tables and things. So I took the hook or the clamp, I mean, for the cone winder, and I put some holes into the case, and I've been trying out using a clamping mechanism on this e-spinner, and I'm actually really happy. It's just a couple twists here, and it clamps it down onto the table, and it really holds things in place at high speeds. So I do think I'll probably be including a clamp like that. I think that's about it. So please, please, please go find the poll that I have in the description and go fill out there. Or if you want to have a more open discussion, leave some comments in the video or on, wherever you saw this, and I'll respond to them there. if you fill out the poll, I'll definitely look through everything that's sent in with the poll. There is an option to add in your own extra comments at the end. That's totally optional, but if you do, I will definitely be reading it. And I hope this was interesting. I'm super excited about this guy, and I hope to have a Kickstarter around the end of the year. Definitely not committing to it, but to do a Kickstarter, I need to have the design finalized. I need to have plastic molds made, at least the first version. There might need some fine adjustments and stuff still, but I want to have the final plastic parts in my hand to make sure everything works as expected before I do a Kickstarter. So that usually takes me a while longer. If we'll make the end of the year, I'm not quite sure, but that's currently my goal. That's what I'm working towards. I know people are also waiting for more info on a drum carder, and that's been stalled, waiting on some custom liquor cloth for it. I think I have that solved now. I've been working on it, but so I'll be working on the drum carder and this guy in parallel. I think this guy will be coming out before the drum carder though. So yeah, hopefully you guys will go fill out that poll and help me make this guy better. Thanks for watching.